It's been 3 years, but I think this film aged gracefully. I think this is a hidden gem on Netflix. I don't really remember a lot of chatter when this movie came out, but I feel like now is the time to maybe bring this movie back up.
There's no witch. Get out!
Drive-by movies, you're watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking the Netflix film, His House.
This is my house! This is my house! My house!
You don't wonder what it tells me. It says I should be afraid of you.
His House was quite the hit at Sundance in 2020. It eventually got distributed through Netflix. It's about a refugee couple that makes a harrowing escape from war-torn South Sudan. But then they struggle to adjust to their new life in an English town that has an evil lurking beneath the surface. So, fun fact, I've actually seen this movie. I saw it last year during Halloween time. However, I was not sober out of my mind. It was a night, it was after emo night, I believe, just trying to go through YouTube's, like, I know if you say something, not something, then
you gotta
YouTube,
say unalive, unsobered, I think is the right term, right?
Didn't want to say I was toxicated, I guess. Whatever the millennials say is, I think it's cool,
you're intoxicated.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like a night where I went to like an emo night event, and I was hanging out with a friend I hadn't seen in a while, and he recommended checking out this movie. And I wasn't 100% paying attention just because we were both catching up, but I remember it being a very effective horror film, and I forgot to review it on my Letterboxd, so I kind of forgot about it. And here you are bringing it back into my life, and I got to focus more into it, and so glad I did. But I want to hear your thoughts before I get into it.
So yeah, this was one of those movies that went to die on my Netflix queue. It was something I was like super anticipating when I saw the trailer originally, and then I was excited when it came out, and then all of a sudden, you know, I get lost in 3 seasons of Love is Blind, and I never end up watching it. No, I'm kidding. I didn't watch that. But anyways, yeah, like I never end up watching this movie, and then it's just been sitting on my queue, and I've been lately like looking at the stuff that's just been sitting on my queue and removing stuff that, you know, came out one week. I didn't actually want to watch that, but I was just like, oh, this is new, maybe I'll check it out. Stuff that's just kind of been stagnating on my queue, and then trying to filter out the stuff that I actually do want to watch, and I never watched. This did come out in 2020. It's been 3 years, but I think this film aged gracefully. I think this is a hidden gem on Netflix. I don't really remember a lot of chatter when this movie came out, but I feel like now is the time to maybe bring this movie back up. It's definitely it's an interesting movie. Is an interesting plot, but also it's pretty frightening. So it's definitely something that I feel like maybe coming this Halloween, if you didn't see it, you know, this might be the movie to check out.
Yes, honestly, it's been a while since a movie was this effective, because I remember going to sleep with the thoughts of some of the images within this head did creep me out, because the first time I saw it, after just rewatching again, yes, a lot of the images are very memorable. Didn't forget some of them, and yeah, it's really haunting, creepy to watch. It's been a while since I've seen a movie like this that kind of will stick with my head, but also have some effective jump scares that modern audiences might like, but also with it having a very interesting, like heartwarming, but also gut-wrenching story in between the lines with it. It's been since the movie Terrified, and not Terrifier with Art the Clown. Terrified, I believe it was a Spanish-made horror film that's on Shudder if you want to check that one out. I know that movie's made some rounds on TikTok more recently, but really hope that this movie also makes its rounds, whether it's TikTok or here on YouTube. Just because, yeah, I don't really know anyone who talked about this, and I'm glad that my friend originally was so hyped on this movie that he wanted me to watch it, especially because that was October of 2022, 2 years after the movie came out. And here we are talking about it like almost 3 years after it came out and stuff. So yeah, it's really effective, and highly recommend watching it because a lot of these images are scary. And I like seeing Matt Smith in these smaller roles. These roles are the kind of more memorable ones that he's in, like this, as well as like The Lost River. And, you know, like, I don't think anyone will be talking about his performance in Morbius past next year, at least.
Man, Lost River is definitely a film that I forget, but it's definitely one that like stuck with me and how much I enjoyed it. And you know, it's Ryan Gosling directed. If you were wondering what's insanely going on in his mind beyond just, you know, starring in Barbie, it's Lost River. That is directed by Ryan Gosling, right?
Yes, and I remember just Matt Smith plays like a psycho shaved
The movie
head,
feels like a
dude.
fever dream at this moment. That's why I was just like, it is, but is it? You know, it almost feels like Lost River. Anyways, I'd say that this film, like, I thought that what I loved, I think the most about this movie was just the fact that it had this like deep, weird underlying thing that's going on in the background of the story that you're wondering about. They're often mentioning their daughter. Yeah, I think that one of the things I enjoyed most about this movie was just how the stories about like these past ghosts or demons that follow you wherever you go, you know, when you make mistakes, and if you choose not to mourn them or live with them, like they're just gonna follow you and haunt you. I really love that message. I thought that it was an interesting thing to tackle, something you don't often see, especially in like Western kind of folklore. So this was one of those movies that I felt like, you know, approached it while also approaching, you know, this immigrant couple that everything seems like kind of great on the outside when it's even the people interviewing them for their housing. They're like, okay, they're really want to become good citizens, but at the same time could literally give less, you know, of a shit that they were interested in becoming good citizens and good neighbors, and really just, we need someone to fill this house. So you kind of at first start thinking that maybe the house is the thing that's haunted, but you know, further on, you know, spoilers, but yes, it's a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of really like that turning point of when it gets there and stuff too, because there's a lot of like quote unquote quotes that we can use for a lot of the terms and characters within this movie. And I mean, like, some of these twists are like kind of revealed like halfway through within the movie, but it's still very jarring to catch you off guard and stuff, and reminded me a lot of this French film that we saw probably a decade ago, maybe a little bit. Yeah, it's actually been a little less than a decade, but a French film called Deepen, which is about an immigrant couple that moved to France, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they came from like, you know, a struggling country and stuff, and they were trying to escape this dangerous group, and they were kind of forced to become a family, even though they were all people that didn't know each other. And there's some similarities within this plot of just a family just trying to make it together in a new country in search of a better life. And while that movie kind of takes an action revenge plot point, this movie is taken in a more horror direction. And while, like, you know, I wouldn't say that, like, you know, this is just a horror film, like, you know, it's got great performances, it's a great drama, like it like harkens back to like just like those ghost thrillers where it's like oddly sad and makes you think, and just like kind of ends on like a eerie like note, but without spoiling too much. It's just like a whole eerie feeling and vibe that you get while watching this movie, and it's very effective.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of like a different interpretation of something like The Changeling.
Yeah,
I feel like something like that, where it's like it's kind of something that all people can connect to. Like, all people can connect to, like mourning or sorrow, tragedy, you know, whether, you know, it's going to scale between different people's lives, obviously, but this, you know, it connects to that. But at the same time, like, this goes so much further. It's got a lot of layers to it. I thought that this film was just a really impressive directorial debut, and now that we're 3 years out from this movie, I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, what this director, hopefully something's cooking soon that they're going to be up to, because this is really impressive first feature. And, you know, I think that Remi Weekes is definitely a filmmaker to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. This movie's on Netflix, so there's no reason to not check it out. Maybe it's already on your queue. Finally give it a try this weekend when you get the chance. After doing that, come back here and leave a comment letting us know what you thought about the movie, because that's a great way to help support the show.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, be sure to catch all our social media links down below for Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as well as our own Letterboxd accounts. Also, check out our new show, Screen Scuffle. Not going to be every week, but it's a fun show, and expect new episodes coming soon. But anyways, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new episode of Fresh Releases.